2018 Nissan Juke Review. The good points of Nissan Juke: quirky styling, high seating position, generous kit levels, refined engines. The bad points of Nissan Juke: firm ride, leans a lot in corners, cramped rear seats, CVT auto-compromised. Nissan started its crossover campaign in 2007 together with the Qazana, an SUV hatchback combination, and quickly followed it up together with the Nissan Juke, which can be purportedly a sporty SUV supermini, offering eye-catching looks that set it apart of all manner of rivals, in the slightly dull Ford EcoSport and Vauxhall Mach-E, to the more interesting Renault Captur and Peugeot 2008. The Juke is a huge runaway success for Nissan, proving the crossover class can be quite much not going anywhere. The Juke incorporates a high driving position, and there is often a four-wheel drive setup situated on the top-powered petrol versions, but let us get real, you are going to be employing your fancy new Juke for farm work. Front-wheel drive is standard for most petrol and diesel versions. Essentially, this is the cut-price boutique item aimed towards young getters who, inevitably, want something different. Whatever, its big draw are going to be the price and knowing that you get a funky-looking car, a significant engine range, and several kit available throughout the lineup. What Nissan will need to face will be the huge number of competition which has cropped up now, caused by the Juke learning to be a trend-setting car back 2010. SUV driving position. The high-set driving position with the Juke is similar to that of an SUV, in order that it offers excellent forward vision along with a commanding view in the road ahead and the sides. Because from the rakish looks plus the interior design, still feels quite sporty. It's very comfortable and straightforward to get into and outside of, at the very least for those right in front. Add in the wonderful comfort in the seats and also the ease of adjusting the driving position for drivers of the majority of shapes and sizes, as well as the Juke is actually comparatively comfortable. It might resemble a 3-door, however it's actually a 5-door. The trunk handles are disguised next to the windows to help promote that athletic image. Less impressive to push. There's without a doubt the Nissan Juke hangs on determinedly through corners because of the grip and balance of the setup. It makes the Juke surprisingly agile and quick at changing direction. That is not something will instantly accompany a car in this type. However, the Nissan's ride is way too firm at any speed, transmitting shocks and jolts by way of the occupants a lot of the time to the car to get considered comfortable. There is additionally a great deal of body lean through corners, and that is at odds while using fine grip. Performance is provided using a choice of petrol engines, the other diesel unit, all found elsewhere in Nissan's variety of cars. Nissan Juke Nismo RS. First named the Juke Nismo using the firm's turbocharged 190 horsepower 1.6-liter petrol engine, the Nismo RS packs more punch as well as an even wilder look with lashings of spoilers, vents and red trimmings, together with a set of sports seats inside. The RS is outfitted with an all the more powerful 1.6-liter petrol engine producing 218 horsepower and 280 Nm of torque. It's obtainable in front-wheel drive form, having a manual gearbox, or four-wheel drive which has a CVT automatic plus a detuned 214 horsepower, 250 Nm motor. The verdict. The Nissan Juke was one in the first compact crossovers, and nonetheless looks fresh today, whether you prefer the styling or otherwise. It's showing its age compared to more spacious plus more frugal rivals, but it really holds its with a considerable drive as well as a generous volume of standard kit. Nissan Juke SUV Review. plenty of turbo petrol options. Only one diesel engine. Performance adequate, in any other case rapid. Given the sporty look from the car, Nissan Juke performance is of a mixed bag based on which engine you go searching for. Petrol engines. Nissan Juke buyers seeking a petrol-powered model have a selection of 4 motors, in the slightly confusing lineup. The entry-level engine is often a 94 horsepower 1.6-liter naturally aspirated engine that's only accessible in base-spec Vizia trim and having a 5-speed manual gearbox. It produces 140 Nm of torque, which isn't really enough to the Juke to feel particularly energetic. The 0.62 mph sprint takes 12 seconds, while top speed is 104 mph. Next up can be a 117 horsepower version with the same engine, mated to your CVT automatic transmission, taking 11.5 seconds to try and do the 0.62 mph sprint all night onto 106 mph towards the top end. Torque is better generous at 158 Nm, but this version on the Juke is hobbled by that gearbox. It's slow to react and causes it to feel more sluggish laptop or computer really is. The way it revs makes driving quickly a bit of any racket. Midway over the Juke's life, a turbocharged 1.2-liter digged engine was included in the lineup, producing 115 horsepower plus a more usable 190 Nm of torque. In reality, one still must work the engine difficult to make swift progress, as still takes 10.8 seconds to search from 0.62 mph, and also the power quickly drops off because revs rise because on the way most of their muscle is delivered at low engine speeds. However, in case you ignore the effect it's having on fuel consumption, there's fun that can be had in revving out this engine. It doesn't take advantage of exciting sound. However, it'll become more than nippy enough for almost all drivers, especially when it's just around town, while at speed it doesn't take long to finish an overtaking maneuver once you've changed down a gear or two. The 6-speed manual gearbox is slick enough, though a bit vague in feel, but within the upside, the gear lever itself is positioned nicely on account of the slightly raised center console, meaning it falls easily at hand. If you're after more performance, a lot livelier 190 horsepower 1.6-liter digged turbo petrol power is probably the most potent version from the regular Juke. The 0.62 mph time drops to simply 8.0 seconds, and also a 4-wheel drive version is additionally available through an 8.4-second 0.62 mph time. The only problem is perhaps you can only have the 4-wheel drive model while using CVT gearbox, hampering performance somewhat. Diesel engine. The sole defender from the diesel faith inside Nissan Juke range is often a Renault Zorst 110 horsepower 1.5-liter turbo, badged DC110, that has 260 Nm of torque. 0.62 mph in 11.2 seconds plus a top speed of 109 mph. In pre-2013 Jukes it offers 57.6 miles per gallon and 129 gkm fractional CO2 emissions. More recent models claim 70.6 miles per gallon and simply 104 gkm, a tremendous improvement. It pulls strongly at low revs, but have their own work reduce on faster roads so when overtaking, it's also too noisy when cruising with the national speed limit. Nissan Juke Nismo RS. Powering the latest version on the Juke can be a 1.6-liter digged petrol providing 218 horsepower and 280 Nm of torque when mated into a 6-speed manual gearbox. 0.62 mph is cared for in 7.0 seconds, and yes it'll go to reach a maximum speed of 137 mph. This may be the fastest Juke by the significant margin, though the engine isn't the smoothest or happiest when worked hard, booming away and providing an inconsistent SP-watch of power. Unlike most turbocharged petrol engines, that provide a good slug of power at low engine speeds, this takes just a little winding up. It covers at middling engine speeds, though power fades somewhat inside the mid-range. Push harder plus the Nismo RS registers again on the red line. This inconsistency makes this Juke frustrating they are driving, because it's not easy to know how much power is on tap, determined by which gear you're in. While it's over fast enough for almost all, keen drivers probably will want a more rounded machine. Four-wheel drive is usually available with this model but, like within the regular Juke, it's only available that has a CVT gearbox, named NMUK. In this form, the Nismo RS produces 214 horsepower and 250 Nm of torque, taking 1 second longer to succeed in 62 miles per hour from the standstill, and reaching a 124 miles per hour top speed. Strong grip in corners. Body roll lets the Juke down. Steering is quick, but with a lack of feel. A game of two halves. While we just like the levels of grip which the Juke offers in tight corners as well because quick steering, we're not really that enamored using the ride and quantity of body lean. The Juke, in a guise, will lunge quite heavily when you enter a large part with any type of gusto, and this rather stiff suspension may turn to irritate when cruising on less than smooth road surfaces. Although quick, the steering still is really a little rubbery, and also you never think that connected to the trail. The gear change can be just a little niggly when you find yourself changing through the H, however it is okay when moving the lever directly backwards or forwards. The Juke isn't a car you should go for should you want driving enjoyment, but to be a motorway or urban cruiser it's essential enough for your job. On a scented trim and above, Nissan's dynamic control strategy is fitted, which includes 3 drive mode settings: Eco, Normal and Sport, confusingly selected using the screen that displays the climate control. This adjusts the steering and throttle response in accordance with the driving conditions. If you desire to save fuel in city traffic, put it in Eco, but in the event you are cruising out and about or with abroad it is possible to leave it normal. Then in case you feel the need to employ a bit of your blast, shove it in sport mode so you'll feel a marked, and welcome, change from the throttle response particularly. A display will provide you with information about your fuel consumption, substantially Eco, and tell you info on the car's performance inside other modes. Nissan Juke Nismo RS. The Juke Nismo RS advantages from stiffer springs in the standard car with an altered steering rack. The stiffer suspension means less body roll from the corners compared to the standard Juke, that produces for a more rewarding driving experience. Body control is incredibly good, and even though the ride is firm it can do soak up bumps a lot better than you might expect. The ride is notably stiffer as opposed to standard car, together with the hard, body-hugging sports seats compromising comfort further above the normal Juke. In case you want a cushy car for cruising about, this isn't it. This does mean which the car is a bit more agile with the bends, however, proving surprisingly sporty that has a limited slip differential maximizing grip from your front tires. The steering is sweet and precise, and even though not packed with feedback it may help the driver to position the car accurately. Overall, the handling is playful enough to hold keen drivers happy though remain safe and predictable. All-wheel drive Nismos find the same clever torque vectoring system as being the regular 4WD Juke. It is a system that shuffles the automobile's power between all 4 wheels to maintain it around the right line when cornering. Power is distributed only to top wheels when your vehicle is traveling in a very straight line, and partially sent to corner wheels when the trucker begins steering. The largest quantity of power goes toward the outside rear wheel to assist steer the car on the inside in the corner and forestall it running wide. Funky, interesting interior. Not supported by materials. Easy to acquire, comfy, though. The idea behind the Juke is the fact that it's said to be a bit funky, but, aside from your motorcycle fuel tank-inspired central console, it's somewhat conservative inside. Once you look deeper at some on the fixtures and fittings, they're ones you'll find on a lot of other Nissan models. The dashboard is really a large, cheap-looking hard plastic affair, plus the layout isn't exactly a paragon of futuristic design, yet it's easy to use. The climate and driving control buttons are slightly flimsy, though an instant prod with the index finger can move them about. That is hardly reassuring for future use and abuse. Similarly, the central armrest on some models thinks very flimsy and wobbly. Juke Nismo RS. Inside the Nismo's cabin, a few will be disappointed with the fairly restrained appearance. However, the world thinks this subtlety conditions this version on the Juke. The deep-sided suede trimmed sports seats feel supportive and search good. However, the seatbacks are pretty hard and unyielding, whilst the leather-trimmed controls with Alcantara grips look suitably sporty. It also incorporates a competition car-style center marker for the top with the wheel, finished in red to complement the overall color selection. There's yet more suede for the door liners, and also the Nismo logo is repeated around the cabin about the gear lever surround, floor mats and seats if you happen to forget what car you're in. All of the is offset nicely by red stitching within the seats, tire and gear lever, echoing the outdoors pinstriping, along having a fittingly racy red lighting scheme for your rev counter. Easy to identify, a comfortable driving position. Seats comfy, although not very supportive. Firm ride upsets the calm. All things considered, the Nissan Juke's comfort levels are pretty decent. The high driving position really helps driver vision, plus the steering wheel and seat adjustments are flexible and comprehensive enough to yield a cushy driving position in seconds. The only thing that's more likely to bother some drivers could be the lack of reach adjustment for your steering wheel. Once on the path, the Juke will get rather bouncy on uneven surfaces, along with the seats don't offer enough side support once you take tight corners at speed, despite their impressive comfort for your rest from the time. It's pleasant enough to pay time in, and in case you are regularly making journeys that last under 1 hour, you will emerge on the driving seat feeling pretty relaxed. The firm ride might commence to irritate on longer trips though. Nissan Juke Nismo RS comfort. In comparison with all the standard Juke, the Nismo gains sports seats with enhanced side supports. These are just the thing for keeping the driving force and front passenger hemmed in when negotiating twisty areas of your route. The exhaust note is moderately zesty once you put your foot down, but quiet enough to become mostly unobtrusive after you want they are driving somewhere without fuss. There is really a noticeable quantity of wind noise within the move, but aside from which the Nismo will be as adept as being a motorway cruiser the way it is on twisty back roads. Mostly well-equipped range. Middle to level models the very best. Go easy for the options. The Nissan Juke range is less difficult to navigate. Personal computer used being when various special editions were available and trim levels were changing names regularly. Now, it's composed of Vizia, Ascenta, Connecta and Tecna, as well as the hot Nismo RS. Standard Nissan Juke SUV equipment. Kicking things off is Vizia trim, coming with remote central locking, air conditioning, 16-inch alloy wheels, LED daytime running lights, electric door mirrors, front and rear electric windows, you'll have to move up to ascend it to get more. Bluetooth phone connectivity. USB port. Drive modes. 17-inch alloy wheels. Privacy glass. Front fog lights. Cruise control. Climate control. Multifunction leather tire, plus leather gear knob. Connect to ads. 5.8-inch touchscreen infotainment system with sat-nav and DAB radio. Reversing camera. Electric folding mirrors. Keyless ignition. Automatic lights and wipers. Sports seats. Front armrest. Black headlining. Color pack for interior trim. Top spec Tecna models consist of all on the above, plus safety shield, 360-degree cameras, lane departure warning, blind spot warning and moving object detection. Leather seats with front seat heating. Alternative 17-inch alloys. The Nismo RS uses Tecna trim as being a base, adding sports suspension and steering setup. Upgraded brakes. Nismo tuned exhaust. 18-inch alloy wheels. Nismo Aero package. Rear diffuser. Alcantara interior trim with red stitching. Carbon look finish for instruments. Gloss black center console. Sports seats. Optional Nissan Juke SUV accessories. Nissan has bundled most of their options into packs should you want to increase the risk for a Juke look much more individual compared with standard form. If you want individual options, it's simpler to step up to a higher model inside range. Some from the packs offered include exterior pack, various color finishers for exterior trim, bumper finishers, mirrors and headlight finishers. Exterior pack plus as above but adds 18-inch alloy wheels with color trim, either black, red, white or yellow. Interior pack, center console, stitching, door trim, air vents in both black, red, white or yellow. Tech pack, xenon headlights and safety shield tech. Comfort pack, panoramic sunroof. There tends to be packs available that allow buyers to include more color trim, protection to the boot as well as other pieces of chrome trim to the exterior. Strong safety rating for Juke. 5 stars from Euro NCAP. Extra safety kit available. Independent safety assessors, Euro NCAP, awarded the automobile the full 5 stars, so Nissan Juke safety factors among the top in class. All models have 6 airbags, ISOFIX child seat points in the spine, anti-whiplash headrests and brake assist. There is usually the addition of Nissan's dynamic control system on Ascenta models and above, providing further satisfaction. Nissan Safety Shield package is also positioned on most models, bundling in 360-degree cameras, blind spot warning and lane departure warning to provide extra driver assistance systems. Space for 4 in the Juke. Boot surprisingly spacious. Not many storage areas. How good the Nissan Juke's practicality is depends upon how you need to view this car. There's a good amount of space right in front in terms of head and legroom, though it's a rather different story inside the back. The roofline slopes while you move rearwards, plus the door opening is rather narrow, meaning it's very easy to hit your head for the way and while you maneuver yourself throughout the bodywork. However, rear space isn't too disappointing, so long as there's nobody too tall right in front seats. Headroom is reasonable, but it really can be dark from the back on higher spec models with privacy glass and black headlining. In many ways the Juke may be forgiven. View it as a possible urban runaround and also the extra practicalities of an 5-door are bonuses. View it to be a family car though, also it's less impressive. By no means will it be bad, though. At the rear, the boot is really a useful 354 liters, which can be par for your course because of the size of car, made a lot more practical by the split-level boot floor to cover items beyond sight. The parcel shelf can be attached to the boot lid, meaning you don't have to invest time fiddling with that to acquire it out with the way. General storage isn't quite as impressive, though. There really are a couple of useful cup holders at the start, though the door bins are small, there is often a limited quantity of space elsewhere. The Juke isn't a considerable car, despite its bulbous front end suggesting otherwise. It's compact, with surprisingly good visibility to aid maneuver the auto. For example, the lumps on top from the headlamp units help judge the spot that the front on the car is, however the windows in the back from the car less difficult smaller, so you'll have fun here for reversing cameras on higher spec models. The door mirrors are particularly large, comically so for a real compact car, but this assists with visibility too. Boot space is decent inside the Juke, especially whenever you consider how compact its exterior size is. For a front-wheel drive version in the Juke, the boot dimension is 354 liters having a split-level boot floor that expands to just 1,189 liters after you fold the spine seats down. If you opt for a 4WD version from the Juke, however, boot size takes an important hit. In this form, it's 207 liters with all the seats up and 786 liters with these down.